Okay, I'm back, Jack. Yeah. I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I had to call via audio, then unmuted, all kind of craziness.
Okay.
Can you see me?
I can not see you. I mean, you're in darkness.
But you should be able to see. Hold on. Let me walk out of the darkness and see if you can see me. No, you can't see me.
Yeah, I can see you.
No, you can't.
Yep, I can see you.
No, you don't see me.
Yep,
You don't see me.
yep, I see you.
You don't see me.
Mm-hmm.
So are we recording?
Oh, we're recording. Yep.
All right. So what's this mystery? What's this suspense? Because you
now you're in
seem
the
to.
darkness. Now you're in the darkness again.
Yeah, I am.
Oh, okay. You just like being in the dark.
Well, it's because I'm not in my basement, right? I'm in my living room, and I'm gonna turn the TV on, but I don't like to turn the lights on in my living room at this time of night because there's a lot of bird watchers in the neighborhood.
Bird watchers.
Yeah, I live in the suburbs.
Oh, okay. You don't have curtains?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, okay.
I have cats though,
Your cats open the curtains?
all the time. They like to
Oh,
climb in the windows behind me.
okay. Well, at
You
least
see?
I can see you a little something. You're like in and out. You're like you're a spook.
Well, yeah, I'm about to put wrestling on my television and turn the volume down so that at the very least you see me.
Spook who sat by the front window.
Oh, really? Black people calling black people spooks nowadays, huh? Is that what we doing, Mike?
You know that movie, The Spook Who Sat by the Front Door?
No.
You don't?
I know. I'm aware of it. I've heard of it before. I'm sure
It's a
if you tell me
classic.
a little bit about it, it'll come to me.
All right, so we want to hear about this now. We've gotten to the second major hurdle, which is now we are recording. And the thing I like about Zoom is you can see both of us, and we look big. Remember last time when we recorded on Google Hangouts, and I recorded on one of those third-party apps, I was really small, and you were big. So we both are big. You can see us both now. But the problem is, will this motherfucker actually let me
Record?
put it? Yeah, like it's recording, but will it let me transfer it? But it's okay because Monday's going to be a new day. I'm going to have my external drive. And even if we start all the way over, and even if I wipe this motherfucking computer and give myself all the space we need, we're going to start fresh. And we've got some experience, so it's all good.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying. All of this is just
Joey.
all of this. Like I've been saying that all of this is just practice for.
Yeah, that's all good.
For game time.
We're gonna have to decide though. The thing is, Oh, you said at that point we're just gonna pay for. We're gonna pay for expanded Zoom, so we'll be able to.
I'll just pay for it. Just tell me what it costs, and I'll just pay for it. I'll pay for it for both of us if necessary.
Okay. I don't know. It might be like $15 a month or something. Or
I'll just pay for like the year.
Okay. All right. So yeah. So my inspiration was when we were talking about, I had gone online and we were talking about carbs, and I was like jumping in saying, hey, okay, $14.99 per month, $14.99 per host per month, so you can be a host for $15 a month.
Okay.
That's gonna get us other stuff too, other cool stuff. There's a whole bunch of stuff you can do on Zoom, like you can do breakout rooms and different stuff, but that's going into different stuff. So yeah, so we were talking about you broke down a bunch of stuff to me that I think I was able to internalize and be inspired by when you were talking about changing your, how did you put it?
Routine.
Changing your routine, yeah. And you're talking about how diets are psychological and why they don't work and stuff like that, which is interesting because we didn't get all the way into it, but there's a lot of tropes that people buy into that you're kind of flipping on their head, right? People are always saying 70% diet, 30% exercise, right? We're always saying stuff like that. And throughout the years, I believe
I normally hear that in regards specifically to like abdominal work, but I know what you're talking about.
Okay. See, I've never heard it specifically like that. I've just heard it in general for people trying to lose weight. So long story short, so after we talked, and I thought about what you said about adding, to your regimen in your routine that you're going to. Well, one thing I liked that you said was it was about getting fit, not necessarily losing weight. That resonated with me because for me, life is about motivation, right? Like if you see me at work, or if you see me doing music or things that I love, or like this kind of thing we're doing, you're going to see me get out of it. You're going to see me put into it based on how much I enjoy it, right? So like we could be the most brilliant people in the world, but if we're doing something we don't enjoy, we're not going to want to put anything into it, right? You can have a child who, the administration thinks is dumb or can't read or like is not really going to amount to anything. But then like throughout the years, people are like, wait a minute, a lot of these children were never really inspired or were never really into what they were learning for some reason. They were never really turned on, right? So in other words, it's all about motivation. So my motivation isn't necessarily losing weight. For me, it's about being fit, like you said, right? Because like, if I have trouble like walking up stairs or walking up hills or walking in general and I'm out of breath, for me, that is very uncomfortable and it's not enjoyable. Now, losing weight is one of those things where it's like, it's a great side effect, but my main thing is I want to feel good. And so I've known this about myself for a long time. And it's similar for work. Like, of course I want the bag. Of course I want to be making more money.
But you want to enjoy what you're doing.
Exactly. In the meantime, if I'm not enjoying what I'm doing, I can't even get through the day. I can't even make myself get to the bag in the first place because I'm not enjoying it. So like those things have to be side effects. They're great side effects, but I need the main thing. So what you said
because
about
there's a psychology to it. Like a lot of times I'll tell people, and I harp on it all the time. People be like, yeah, I got to work out. And I'll say, well, I don't like the term workout because it makes it seem like a chore.
Yeah.
But if you say things like train,
right,
it just feels more motivational. You know what I mean? You feel more accomplished if you feel like you trained. And maybe that may not be your keyword. You understand what I'm saying? But I always tell people, there's a psychology to it. It feels better to train.
For me, I'm going for a walk. Like I'm going for a 20-minute walk. Right. And you said a lot of the same. you mirrored some of the things that my doctor said, right? Like he said the same thing you said. If you're not breaking a sweat, you're not actually, you're not actually
Right.
exercising, or it's not worth it, right? So he said the same thing. So yeah, and he said, 20-minute walk, it doesn't have to be all at once. It just needs to be 20 minutes. And he said to do it 3 times a week.
Hmm.
So there's a few things going on, right? Like when I was doing my petitioning job, I was out there all day working. Maybe not all day, but I was out there for at least 4 hours walking around projects, going up and down steps and all types of stuff. But it was like a lot on my legs. And so I prided myself on, man, I'm exercising all day for hours, blah, blah, blah. But it was like a lot, right? Um, and then, at one point, I'm going to admit, like, I was doing the whole carb cutting thing, and I was like starting to get like fatigued. I was getting fatigued. And this isn't the time I was talking to you about before. The
Hmm.
time that I was talking to you about before was a few years ago when I was lifting weights and I was at the gym, and I wasn't consciously trying to cut carbs, but I was getting dizzy after working out back then. I think I was going too hard according to maybe what I was eating or whatever.
Hmm.
But this time around, I was just straight trying to cut all carbs. And I talked to my brother's Diesel. He's younger. He's like, you know, he's like a little bit of like a Black Hulk. I mean,
Hmm.
not like that big, but you know,
He's in shape. He's got
yeah, yeah,
muscle and.
yeah. He's in shape. He's got muscle. He was doing a keto thing for a while. He ended up kind of getting out of it. Um, you know, but maybe keeping some of the ideals, but doing it more reasonable instead of like going hard with it. And so I asked him, I was like, you ever get into a fatigue? Like, you ever hear about people getting like mad tired, like cutting carbs? And he basically told me, since you're cutting carbs, you might just need to make sure you're getting enough calories in general if you're feeling that fatigued.
Hmm.
Um, and so I told him what I was going to do was I was going to start reintroducing carbs, but at a smaller amount and maybe earlier in the day so I
Hmm.
could fuel my day and not feel
Hmm.
like I was using them when I wasn't really going to burn them off at
Hmm.
night. So I think that helped. But anyway, so I thought about the 3 days a week of exercising, which is manageable, right? Well, 3 days a week of having the cardio, the 20-minute walks,
Hmm.
which is very manageable. Um, but I also thought about what happens when I know I have 3 days out of 7 days. What happens if like, because you figure you can do every other day, right?
Hmm.
But what happens when you miss one of your every other days? Now you only have so many days left, and you got to think either I got to cram back to back, or I'm running out of days, or like, oh shit, like I'm not being consistent, or something like that. Um, so then I thought about what you said about the what did you call it, the high intensity training.
Hmm. High
So
intensity interval training.
okay, so I I've had different regimens that I've had throughout the years. One version of it is it involves going from push-ups to doing planks,
Hmm.
going back to another style of push-ups, going back to planks, going back to another style of push-ups, and then going back to another style of planks, working different abs
Hmm.
with maybe about like 30 seconds rest in between. And like part of this I kind of was doing throughout the years anyway, but then I read, from this fitness trainer about like how long to rest in between and about how beneficial it was. And so long story short, I kind of realized, why don't I do back to back? Why don't I do one day where I'm doing like the high intensity training. The next day I do my 20-minute walk. The next day I do the high intensity training. The next day I do my 20-minute walk. That way, there's kind of I'm kind of like exercising every day, but I'm doing something a little bit different. And then B, like the psychology of feeling the soreness in my chest and in my arms is like a good psychology. You know, it's a psychology of why people like lifting weights, because you feel something immediate, right? Because that soreness, because you realize that soreness is going to mean you're going to swell up, right? To a certain extent. And for me, with my weight and the way I've treated push-ups in my life, and this is including, you know, when I had a pretty defined chest when I was younger, I would do a lot of push-ups, but I would rest the next day. I wouldn't be one of these push-ups every day people. I would rest the next day, and I would treat it like weights, and it would like cut me up that way. So I'm like, okay, now I can be doing a little bit of different like regiments every day a little bit. You know, walk this day, calisthenics this day, walk this day, and that way I always keep it moving, and it's harder to like fall out of, you know, it's harder to fall out of practice or my
Now,
regiment because I know I do something different.
there's a psychology of the 7-day period, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm training at peak, I'm kind of a freak, right?
Okay.
So, and I think push-ups are awesome. Like I think push-ups are, because they incorporate so many muscle groups in your upper body,
Mm-hmm.
from your shoulders to your triceps, minimal biceps, several different muscle groups in your chest, some
Yeah.
muscle group. If you break a flat plane, you're incorporating muscle groups across your back. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
In that upper part of your upper body, they just incorporate a lot of muscle groups.
Oh, well,
If you
especially
do,
if you switch them up too.
yeah,
You switch up the types of push-ups you're doing.
if you do them on your toes with your feet together, it incorporates your core, your lower abdomens.
Mm-hmm.
So it just has now not all of these are major groups that it's incorporating. Some of them are minor, but
Okay.
it's still on some level incorporating a lot of muscle groups.
Yeah.
Now that 7-day thing, the reason why I say anywhere from three, I go intense. So I try to go 5 days of a 7-day period.
Okay.
I tell people who are engaging in moderate, higher level exercise to go 4, and
Mm-hmm.
or at a minimum 3. 3 is, you know what I mean. But here's the thing: the reason why I say any 7-day period and not a Monday to Sunday is because you can miss a day
Sure.
and you'll be
Sure.
all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Like your
Mm-hmm.
body sometimes will tell you, it'll be like, you know what, I can't go today, and that's
Right.
okay. You know what I'm saying? That's it, you'll be all right. Once you get into repetition, once it becomes repetitive, and you're in it, you're at it for a couple weeks. If you miss a day, if you even miss 2 days, it's not gonna set you back. You're
Right.
not gonna lose gains. You
Mm-hmm.
understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just your body just had a couple extra days to rest.
Sure.
You know
Now,
what I mean? Go on.
psychologically, the other good thing about this is it makes me a little bit more motivated to like I've been like eating healthy snacks like throughout the day.
Hmm.
So like instead of like, a big meal that I've ordered from a restaurant where I have to get like $15 minimum just to get it delivered because they have minimums or $15 minimums. Otherwise, they surcharge you for not ordering enough. Like on my walk, I'm stopping at the corner store, getting like some nuts. I'll have like apples in the house. I like apples. Maybe have a little bit of coffee or something like that. So my early day is
You
just like
drink
this.
coffee?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
hmm My early day, but I don't, do like sugar and all that stuff. I just like black coffee. The
Yeah,
most I'll do
I
is,
prefer it black.
yeah, the most I'll do is like a little bit of either almond milk or soy milk or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, but that apple in the morning is the thing that like wakes me up
Hmm.
and gives me
What
that
kind of
energy.
apples do you like?
Um, I kind of like the semi-tart, semi-sweet, smaller
I was gonna say, do you
apples.
like tart or sweet? I prefer Macintosh.
Yeah, I like Macintosh. I like Macintosh. The thing about apples is I have to get them from the grocery store.
Hmm.
I can never count on apples from the corner store. They're never good.
Hmm.
They're never like crisp. They're always like shitty.
Like
Like,
soggy.
yeah, they're always soggy. Unless you get green apples, which for some reason are always crisp. That's the apples that you can count on. But I've had so many green apples back in the day that I'm kind of good on those.
With
But
green, you got a couple though. You got like the Green Delicious. You got the Granny Smiths.
mhm.
I like green apples. It depends on the green. Like if it's the Green Delicious, not so much. If it's a Granny Smith, I really like those. You know what I mean? Because they're nice and
Okay,
tart and
yeah,
sweet at the same time.
yeah.
I like tart apples.
I don't really know the difference between the which ones are Granny Smith and which ones are the other ones you were saying.
So you know your standard Red Delicious apple.
Yeah.
It's the thinner, taller apple that's
Yep.
really
hmm
sweet. The
hmm
Green Delicious are pretty much the same, but they're green.
And they look just like those.
Yeah, they look just like them.
Oh, okay.
And they
Okay.
have Yellow Delicious as well. They're
Oh,
all
okay.
pretty much in that same little apple subfamily.
Okay.
Obviously, they have different tastes,
hmm
but they're the sweetest. Like the Green Delicious is going to be the sweetest green apple.
Okay.
You know how like you if you're making like sweet cider or apple juice, you want Red Delicious apples.
Okay.
They're those deep, dark, reddish, almost purplish.
Oh
Your
yeah.
classic app. Yeah,
Oh yeah. I know.
that
I know. Red Delicious.
the Green
Supposedly
Delicious.
those
What
were kind of like engineered. Those apples.
for
Those were engineered to be that way. I
for
kind of
taste?
grew up. Yeah, I guess for taste. I kind
I
of grew
like
up on those and kind
I
of got
like
sick of
them.
those.
I don't
Yeah,
like the skin.
right. It's like kind of thick.
Yeah, I don't prefer the skin on a
Yeah,
Red Delicious apple. But
yeah,
I do like I'll eat a Red Delicious apple. But if by choice, like, let me see. Let me look. Let me see what we got in the fridge. I know we got some apples in here right now. My
yeah.
wife, she
That's the
bought.
good. That's my great energy. Like that will wake me up more than coffee will in the morning.
I think
And
this
then
is
of
a red.
course, and
These
then of
look like
course the fiber is great.
a Yeah, these are Red Delicious.
hmm Fiber is great. Yeah, that's the apple that black folks grew up on. We grew
Yeah,
up
I
on
grew
Red
up on
Delicious.
Macintosh because my
Okay,
mom my mom cooked a lot with apples, and Macintosh are like you want to make apple pie with the
apple pies.
Macintosh.
Yeah, yep.
You know what I mean? You want to make, if you're gonna make like pancakes with apple, you want to use Macintosh. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
while we did eat Red Delicious, my mom she mostly bought. She knew like I fell in love with Macintosh
Okay.
as soon as I tasted it. Like it's just to me that balance of tart and sweet.
Yeah.
I'm going through some
So
colors here.
so there you have starting for the beginning of the day, I'm starting with some fruits, and stuff like that. I got my big thing of water that I'm sipping on throughout the day.
I'm still on.
Um
You probably won't see me on video for a quick second,
okay,
but I'm still on.
sure. So then, I got some nuts and stuff. I had some sesame seeds. Thing about me and nuts is I know if I have roasted salted nuts, I want to go through it quickly because they taste too good. So I had some unsalted sesame seeds, which lasted a long time. That I still have um, a good amount left, and it's just because they're not really a treat to me. It's more like I'll sprinkle them on a salad, or if I'm a little bit hungry, I'll have just like a little, fingerful of them. But it's not like digging into a bag of like salted peanuts or salted cashews because I know I'm gonna go through that or going through a thing of mixed nuts. I know I'm gonna go through it too quick. So it's like just like a good thing on deck to have. So these are snacks I'm eating throughout the day. I've been into baby carrots a lot, just like crunching on those like throughout the day. I have some that I accidentally got frozen and now the 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 whatchamacallit, Uh, Now I don't like the character of it. It like tastes kind of weird now. So I might throw those in a blender and see what I can do. Uh,
What,
Maybe do
like
like
juice them?
either juice them or if
What now? What are they?
they're baby carrots, but they accidentally got frozen. Like the back of my refrigerator somehow was
I
like
love baby carrots.
mad cold. Yeah, I love those. I've been snacking on them.
I eat them like potato. Excuse me, like potato chips.
That's exactly yeah. I was exactly that's how I was eating them. So that's like the greatest snack. So then it's like I'm snacking like that throughout the day, and then by the time I finally buy a meal, most of my meals have been like healthy
Hmm.
nuts and fruits and salads and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, so that's that. So that's the motivation that I felt. From what we talked about, and a lot of it was stuff that some of it was stuff I already knew, but it was just like activating it or reactivating it, and then some of it was stuff that I hadn't really heard before in that perspective. So some of it was interesting.
Hmm. Well, yeah, definitely, man. If you got any questions or anything, I can definitely hook you up.
Well, I just felt good about feeling the soreness in my chest and in my arms.
That'll go away
Um,
really soon.
no, I mean I know. I mean I've been like a push. I've been like into push ups since I was young. Like Otis and Dwayne used to see me get drunk and do a bunch of push ups. Like
Ah,
that used to be my thing. Like I was like the push up dude. Like
ah.
I was really into push ups. Um, and you know, back in the day, I would do like lots of them. I would do like maybe like a couple hundred push ups.
Hmm.
You know, uh, but they weren't full push ups. They were like what some people call prison push ups. And
Hmm.
I remember when I was stupid enough to listen to other people who didn't know what they were talking about, because you know how everybody has an opinion, and some
Yeah.
opinions are just not that informed, and some opinions are just like the peanut gallery thinks it knows what it's talking about, and sometimes, what would you say? The layman's opinion or common sense is a little too common
Hmm.
and not enough sense.
Hmm.
So, long story short, when I was doing those higher numbers of push-ups, like 70 70 reps, 3 sets or whatever, over 200 push-ups, I was cut. And then the moment I started listening to people like, oh, you got to do full push-ups, you're not going all the way down and all the way up, that's not a real push-up. The moment I started doing that, I started like losing what I was doing, right? Because I had it down to a science, and it was like it was working for me. So
So here's the thing. Here's the thing. I'll be the first to tell you there's no wrong way as long as you're doing it safe to do a
yeah,
push up.
right.
And the reason why is because the way that a push up is designed is such that the technique that you use develops. So I I I do a lot of push ups, right?
Hmm.
But I always tell people, like if I'm training people, I always tell people, and that's with any number, like 6 is 10. If you
Hmm.
can't do 10, do 6, right?
Okay.
So if you're going to do a lot of push-ups, at a certain point, you get to a point, and let's just talk about volume. At a certain point, you get to a point where you're not developing cut or mass, you're developing muscle endurance, right?
Hmm.
So the key is what type of push-ups you're going to do per workout that's suited for you. Like for me, I do so many different types of push-ups. You know what I mean? I do elevated push-ups, I do decline push-ups, I do push-ups, offset push-ups, meaning where I'll have my arm on something that's 6 to 12, one arm on something that's just resting on something that's like 6 to 12 inches off the ground,
Hmm.
so that I can just put all the weight on the other arm to do the push-up. Now here's the thing, right? The push-up the one push-up that I never do, and this is just me, is just regular flat plane shoulder width apart push-ups
Okay.
on a flat plane. Me, I just don't like those.
Okay.
They're good, they're excellent. I personally just don't like them because I do a lot of advanced push-ups, so I don't get anything from just a regular flat plane push-up,
Sure.
right? So the type of push-up that you do, and I'll give you some examples. If you don't go all the way down to, like, they say you're supposed to be able to put a fist under your chest. You're supposed to go down to the fist, and that's the appropriate way. That's a military style push-up. The
Okay.
appropriate way to do a push-up. The problem with that is similar with sit-ups, which is why I don't do sit-ups and I prefer crunches. Because if you do a full sit-up, at a point in the sit-up, you're actually coming to a rest.
Okay.
Right? You rest when you're lying on the ground, and then you're resting when you sit completely up.
Yeah.
So with a crunch, you never really come to a rest because you're only bringing your body up 45 degrees and you're going back down. And as soon as you go down, you're coming up again. So you're never really getting a full rest on those muscles. So with a push-up, if you do a flat plane military style push-up, you come to a rest at the position where you get, as they say, a fist under your chest, right?
Okay.
So it all depends on what type of muscles. You have so many muscle groups. So in your arms, right, you have your triceps, which is 60% of your arm. It's 3 muscles. Then you have your bicep, which is 2 muscles. Then you have your shoulders, which are 3. There's 3 muscle groups in your shoulders. So we're talking 8 muscle groups just in your arms for push-ups, right? In your chest, you have 3 muscle groups: your major, your minor, and your mids. Your major pectoralis, your minor pectoralis, and your mids. Those are 3 different muscle groups: the lower, the upper, the middle. So if we're just looking at that, well, let's ignore the back, let's ignore any core work that you do with a push-up. If we're just looking at that, if you say you do what's called mid-range push-ups, meaning like you do, you don't go all the way down, you don't go all the way up, right?
Yeah.
You're working the mid muscle groups.
Okay.
You're still working a muscle group. There's a benefit to not going all the way down and not going all the way up. Just like there's a benefit, like I told you, I don't like to do regular push-ups. If I'm going to do a regular push-up, it's going to be the type of push-up that breaks a flat plane, which means I'm going to be elevated such that I could get my chest lower than my shoulders.
Okay.
The floor won't stop my shoulders because I'm going to elevate myself to a position where when I do the push-up, I'm using an apparatus or a push-up, something to enhance the push-ups so that I can get my chest lower than the flat plane. You understand what I'm saying? That's when I'm doing deep push-ups. But there are times when I do halfway push-ups. It's just like pull-ups, right? There's a value in getting on a pull-up bar, coming to a dead hang, pulling yourself up, and then going down to a dead hang. But there's also value in not coming to a full extension, coming to a 45 degree, and then pulling yourself back up. You're keeping the tension on the muscles.
Yeah.
This is the same with push-ups.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? You're keeping the tension on a group of muscles. So when I do pull-ups, I'll do different variations of pull-ups. I usually do pull-ups and then chin-ups, right? But depending on what it is I'm trying to do, I may start off at a dead hang there for 5 seconds, and then pull myself all the way up, come all the way down. When I put the vest on, I usually put on a 20 to 40 pound vest. When I put the vest on, I'm not ever coming to a dead hang or going back to a dead hang. You understand what I'm saying? I'm literally going probably greater than 45 degrees for sure. You understand what I'm saying? But I'm literally just getting to the point where I break the tension on the muscle, and then I'm going to pull back up. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A lot of times, there's value in getting on a pull-up bar, pulling your chin up over the bar, and just coming a couple inches down. It just incorporates different muscle groups. So you weren't doing, there's not a wrong way to do the push-up as long as you're doing it in correct form. I always tell people, whatever exercise that you do, forget numbers. Quality matters. Make sure your form is good. You see what I'm saying? As long
Yeah.
as your form is good, I mean, you don't have to go all the way down on a dip to get what you need out of a dip. It's just going to work or incorporate. It's kind of like if you do a flat, say you do push-ups, hand, shoulder width apart, right? With your fingers pointed the same direction as your head. If you were to turn your hands inward or outward, but leave them in the same position, you're immediately working different muscle groups
Yeah.
just by turning your hand. For instance, if I do a push-up and I keep my elbows parallel to my body, I'm incorporating my triceps. I'm putting more of an emphasis on my triceps. If I point my elbows outward, I'm incorporating more of my pectorals. I take the emphasis off of my triceps, even though my triceps become the minor muscle groups being worked, and my pectorals become the major. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And it's simply keeping my hands in the same position, but now it's a matter of where I put my elbows. If my elbows are parallel to my body, I'm incorporating my triceps. If my elbows are pushed out from my body, the emphasis is applied to my pectorals. See what I'm saying?
Mhm.
With doing push-ups, because there's so many different variations. You're you A simple adjustment takes the emphasis. It makes it makes the major muscle group the minor muscle group, and that's fine. It all depends on what it is you're doing. You understand what I'm saying? For me,
Yeah.
when it comes to like, I like to do exercises that incorporate as many muscle groups as possible. So I used to walk around saying I had the best chest in Western New York, and I wasn't trying to be arrogant. I really believed it. I wasn't the biggest guy at all. I only weighed 149 pounds in peak condition.
Mhm.
But unlike most people who train and who are fit and who are muscular, all three of the muscle groups in my chest were equally developed, and you normally don't see that.
Right.
You normally see the really big guy whose breastplate is huge at the bottom or huge at the top.
Mhm.
Mine was completely proportionate. You could see all three muscle groups, one, two, three, and I had chest plates. They were completely my chest, each side of my chest was completely separate. Like, you could see the separation from my chest and my shoulders, my chest and my neck, my chest and my other chest plate, my chest and my stomach. You understand what I'm saying? It was each two individual plates cut in three different spots: lower, mid, upper. You see what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
for me, it was developing in proportion, so to speak. But yeah, man, yeah, you're right when they tell you like you're doing them wrong. No, it all depends on what it is you're trying to do. Like, what do
Right.
you mean? If you wanna do a full push up because you think that's the only right way to do it, well, then you're gonna leave stuff on the table.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, you're just gonna leave some food on the table, so to speak.
Right.
You know, I like to do diamonds. I like to put my feet up and do push-ups like that. I also like to do push-ups with my upper body higher than my lower body. Again, I like to work all three muscle groups in my chest. You see what I'm saying? So I
Yeah.
don't have a problem doing them higher than my lower body. There's little things that I think, if I'm fine tuning an exercise, but again, I train at an advanced level, right? So if I'm fine tuning an exercise, if I do 100 push ups, I'm going to do 30 pull ups, only because they work the opposing muscle groups. But you just don't need to do as many pull ups as push ups. You just don't. Pull ups are like super ridiculously, uh, they really contribute very quickly to development.
Yeah.
If you're looking for like strength and musculature, push-ups, just pull-ups really quickly, and it's harder for heavier people to do pull-ups. This is
Hmm.
just like laws of gravity, right? You
Right.
know, laws of physics, so to speak.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Even for people in shape, like muscular people, they're just pulling more weight.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
That 240-pound guy who's just completely muscle, it's more difficult for him to do a pull-up than it is for me
Hmm.
because he's pulling more weight.
Yeah.
And then when you do put exercises like pull-ups, like there's so many subtle, if you put your feet behind you, like if you bend at the knees with your feet behind you, it incorporates your back. If you lift your knees up in front of you and like do them with your knees up, your knees bent and your legs up, it incorporates your stomach. You know what I mean? Just little adjustments like that you know, it adds to the exercise. If you just do them with your feet straight down, it puts more of an emphasis on your shoulders and your traps and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just, little adjustments. There's no wrong way. As long as your form is good. You understand what I'm saying? As long
Hmm.
as you're maintaining good form and you're doing the exercise correctly, there isn't a wrong way to do the exercise. I
Sure.
always say form is just much more important. Form and quality is always better than numbers. I tell people if you're doing sets of 10 and you just knock out every set of 10, then you're not getting what you should get out of your workout, right? Like the last rep should be difficult. You only do 9 reps. The 9 reps you did were practice for the 10th one. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the 10th one should be difficult. And if that first rep of 10 isn't difficult, the second should, right?
Right.
I used to tell my daughter when she ran cross country and she'd go 2 miles, I'd be like, 99% of that 2 mile run is practice for the last step. It's just practice for the last step. You can do that other 99%. The hardest step is that last one. That's the one that's going to make you that the last push up is the improvement push up. That last pull up is the one that's going to improve you. The others are just practice. You understand what I'm saying? I used
Yeah.
to when I train people, I'm like, failing at any point in the workout is actually better than finishing the rep. Muscle failure, it's
Hmm.
better than finishing the rep because that's going to give you growth. That's going to give you improvement. That's what's gonna cause your body, your muscle tissue to tear and regrow in order to account for that rep. That last, so I often tell people like if you fail, don't worry. You don't have to, I gotta get 10. No, you don't. You're at 7 and you're probably not gonna get 8. So when you go to do 8, just push as hard as you can and then get up. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. No
Just push
doubt.
as hard as you can and then get up. And then when you get to the next rep and you feel like you're done, it's like, okay, just do 1. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just do 1 or just do 2 and then move on to the next thing. And then that's going to encourage improvement. Sorry to go into a long
No, I got you.
tirade.
No, those are the things that I'll internalize. So when I'm doing it, I'll remember that stuff will kick in.
Yeah, failure is your friend. I often say that failure is your friend. Like I'll hit muscle failure often, but I'm always
Hmm.
pushing myself, and I don't have a problem with that. I'm never ever going because it's the psychology, right? It
Yeah.
can't be about numbers. If it's about numbers, you'll kill yourself.
Right.
It's about quality reps. So if you don't hit your numbers, that's okay. It doesn't take away from your improvement, from it doesn't hinder you in the progress or your pathway to becoming fit because you don't hit a number. Was your work quality? Failure is better than, I often tell people, like 6 is 10. If you can't do 10, do 6 and move on. Do 6 quality and move on. You'll get to 10. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Do 6 quality and then move on. Make sure they're quality. If you're doing them quality, you probably won't hit your numbers anyway. If you're paying attention to your form and the numbers don't matter. 10 is just an obscure, like, oh, you got to do 10. Why? Why 10? Why not 8? Why not, you know what I mean? Why 10? Because it's just a round whole number? Just make sure you do quality work. Especially when it comes to body weight stuff. Do quality work. You'd be surprised what you can do with the weight of the human body.
Yeah.
So here's my suggestion. I think you should try to get a hold of Joe.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's let's see what the deal is. Now that we're on, I should have.
He is online now. He just doesn't like me.
It's all good.
Because I see he's online now on Messenger. He just doesn't like me.
Yeah, I mean, he might be busy. Let's see what his deal is. I mean, we're on Zoom anyway, so I don't know how he would. I don't know. Oh no, that's right. He can get on. It's just a 40-minute limit. I forgot about that.
Oh, we're limited if he gets on. And then we can just start it over.
Yeah. No, I forgot about that. I totally forgot about that. These rules are like different for each platform. So yeah, what did Dwayne tell you about his idea?
He didn't, because he doesn't like me. He just said talk to him Sunday at 11 p.m. if I'm interested.
Okay. Oh, okay. So you know more. So I told you more than you knew.
Yes.
Okay.
Mike, you haven't figured it out by now?
I guess not.
I'm not the most personable person.
Well, they keep messing with you, right?
I mean, yeah, I guess. Can't argue that. I'm just saying. They be like, oh, man, I got to deal with this. I don't know what that is.
Well, you got anything else on the docket
I
to talk
didn't,
about?
but that's cool. I didn't,
Right.
but that doesn't mean that we can't come up with some stuff to talk about.
Okay. Did we ever end up delving into like the nature of conspiracy theories and like how everyone's got their theories and like how people are like, really like I have to admit, like, I'm happy when I see people that I know and like who post stuff like, this discredited, woman that everyone's quoting and everyone's spreading these YouTubes about, blah blah
Oh,
blah.
did you see what I posted yesterday?
And might have been one of the ones I saw. Yeah.
Mark Safe from the discredited
Oh,
doctor.
yeah. No, because it's it's a real divide on the social networks, and sometimes it'll be people who like I know this one cat who, you know, he was going against Trump for a while, and now he's like a Trump convert. and he also happens to be a, you know, one of these YouTubers who's been spreading the misinformation and stuff. One thing that he spread was like, "Oh, Dr. Fauci says not to wear a mask," and then his friends hop on his page saying, "Ha ha, make up your mind." It takes me 2 seconds to Google what he wrote to find that the interview he was talking about happened March 8th on 60 Minutes. And then less than a month later, the CDC says, actually, it is a good idea to wear a mask because we don't know who has the disease because symptoms don't show for about 14 days. So if you wear a mask, you're really helping other people by keeping it to yourself. And so when I bring this information to him, I'm like, why couldn't you even bother just like vetting this information really quick and seeing what the date was? And then sure enough, it's some backpedaling excuse. Well, they've been flip-flopping the whole time, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no. You posted something deceptive, and instead of owning that this is some old-ass information, instead of owning it, you're now coming up with more excuses.
Well, that's what they do, right?
Yeah.
Like nobody, I was, and I guess this is just going to be something that that is going to be characteristic of me. But I often say, and you're going to hear me say it again, I was talking to somebody the other day. Well, I was talking to a friend of mine recently,
Mm-hmm.
and we both came to the conclusion that people just don't know how to be wrong. Like they just don't know how to be wrong.
Right.
Like it's not the thing to do to just, I was wrong.
Mm-hmm. That's
And it's like,
when you're young and your parents start whooping you for something and they realize that you didn't do it and they're like, well, that's okay. This is for, all those times I didn't catch you or
this is
something
what
like
I
that.
didn't catch you for doing. You got away with one.
Yeah.
No, that's just. Oh man, I realize I look like a poor man's Jedi right now.
You always look like a poor man's Jedi.
Oh wow, thank you, thank you. I guess.
Yeah, it's a
So,
compliment.
oh, I know what I'm going to do because I'm hungry, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just realized what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a cheesesteak sandwich while we're talking. So anyway, um, um, no, people just don't know how to be wrong.
Right.
And that's just what it is, right? Like nobody wants to be wrong, or
Right.
at least nobody wants to admit that they're wrong and be humble about it. And for me, it's like, well, why not? It doesn't mean you're stupid. It doesn't make you look bad. It just means that you have an opportunity to learn and grow.
Well, the other funny thing was, and I wasn't feeling petty, so I didn't bring this up, but this was a person who had literally just posted about how they're not afraid to say that they're wrong and that they're, willing to blah 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 and blah blah blah. But I didn't want to be Mr. Petty.
Well, it's not
So
that. Oh, you didn't want to throw it back in his face and be like, huh?
yeah,
Seems like you're not living up to your
because in
word.
order to do that, I gotta take it that seriously in the first place, and B, that's like you catch more flies with honey.
I
You
mean,
know?
I came a long way from that, being the Facebook Google cop.
Yeah.
Like I'm a long way from that. I don't have the breath for it anymore. I'm gonna minimize the screen for a minute. I just don't have the breath. I don't have the time for it anymore to be like. And when I'm not the smartest person in the world, so I'm gonna say some stupid things. But I like to preface memes that I post that I'm unsure of and I don't feel like going to do the research on. I like to preface it with, I don't know if this is true,
Right.
but it's funny. You know what I mean? Because I'm not the biggest meme person. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of memes.
Right.
I don't like that people educate themselves through memes. You know what I mean? But,
Yeah.
you know, I came a long way from being, all you got to do is use Google.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, there was a time on Facebook I had a problem because people would share information that certainly depended upon the ignorance of the subscriber.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it absolutely depends on the ignorance of the subscriber. And then number two, you know, people never really consider, if we're talking about conspiracies, the source of the information that you seem to agree with that you're sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, who's the source and what is their intent?
Right.
You know, how many white people, you know, some years ago, a letter was put out, supposedly written by a white person, thanking black people for doing their job for them, because black people were killing themselves and selling drugs to themselves, and
Mm-hmm.
this white person took out this supposedly like an ad thanking black people for doing our job for us.
Right.
And it turns out that the letter was actually written by a black person, and its purpose was to either motivate black people to be different, or on the other hand, instigate anger.
Yeah.
And, you know, push black people to be angry.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what I said about this posting that he had was like, I was like, people do this on Facebook all the time. And I was like, they do this thing where they post something old in order to help prove their point or their agenda. But I was like, most of the time it's probably done by ignorance. It's not even done out of, you know, out of like malice or out of deceit. It's just pure ignorance. I just thought it was funny that someone is kind of like on some semi holier than thou, like, see, like, here they are again, flip flopping, whether or not you should have a mask. I'm like, my thing is like, I understand making a mistake, but if your whole thing is like, you don't trust the science because you think they've been flip flopping, wouldn't you just take a moment to see when that interview took place to
Mm-hmm.
help make your case in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
Like, to me, so I could be like, oh, see, look at this, May 15th, and he's got a new recommendation again.
Yeah, but you know what's even more ironic?
What's that?
The legion of fools that, when given the new information, still follow the fool.
Yeah. I bet you. I bet you those people didn't bat one. They didn't bat one eyelash. They didn't. He didn't lose any followers on that post.
Yeah, I mean, I see it all the time.
They were still,
I see it.
You know, patting each other on the back, like, look at us.
Yeah, I
We're
see it
no
all the
fools.
time. It's one of the reasons why I no longer interject in such conversations, because I see it all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I remember I have a friend, not going to say her name, for just because out of respect for her, I don't want to say her name. She's an activist.
Yeah.
In Buffalo, she's run for mayor.
Okay.
She's Black Power, the whole nine, and but sometimes she'll post things, and I get it. On the one hand, you'll post information that is wrong or false, or just an idea that is really wacky, perhaps, and I get the necessity for it because she posts a lot of factual information and the type of information that causes you to ask questions. And so I get it. I get why you post some of these things that are wrong, even if you don't know they're wrong, because if you're trying to enlighten or encourage your people to critically think, you want them to have every perspective, even if it's poor or bizarre or out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Her problem is...
Hold on for just 1 second, because
Mhm.
I too much. I spilled some shit. Okay, you can keep talking. I can hear you.
So her problem is, and I'll give you a couple examples, because lately what I've known is, because she's so radical and she's very much against the lockdown. She's very much against, like very much against it. And she thinks there's a huge conspiracy behind it all, and that we're all sheeple. And one of the things that occurs to me is that if you're going to present information to people, right, it shouldn't ask a question.
Okay.
Meaning, you shouldn't be like, why would they do that? Why do they want you to think this? That's not presenting information. That's encouraging me or recruiting me to join your camp or your school of thought. It's not giving me information, because if you're giving me information, why would you give it to me in the form of a question?
Okay.
Why wouldn't you give it to me as a statement? Right? A statement of fact. Why when you disseminate information to me, it always involves you asking me several questions, which is one of her tactics. And so I don't say anything, because I don't want to be the person I was some years ago who gets on her platform and I'm arguing with a whole bunch of people because I'm arguing with the choir and she's the preacher.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
Couldn't that be a good thing, posing it in the form of a question to make you think?
But then you're not giving me information. We're having a conversation.
Right.
That's different. But when you come on and you tell me there's some vast conspiracy statement, why would they? How about you tell me why it's a conspiracy instead of asking me why it's a conspiracy under the guise? You understand what I'm saying? Like, if you say this is a conspiracy, tell me why.
Yeah, that's the okie doke.
Right. That's the trick. I'm going to read you something that a friend of mine posted recently, but I'm going to read it to you after I finish telling you about her. So you remember Dylan Stormroof?
Yes.
Right. He killed the 9 kids in a church.
Yeah.
9 black people in a church.
Mm-hmm.
Went to church, sat in the service with them, then he shot 9 people.
South Carolina.
So after that happened, yes. After that happened, she posted a post. It was a picture, a screenshot from a cricket phone, right? Mm-hmm. Stating that a millionaire paid Dylan Stormroof's bail and that Dylan Stormroof was going to be out on bail.
Okay.
And her only evidence was a screenshot taken from a cricket phone.
Okay.
And she was going in on it and had her choir going in on it. So I come on and I'm like, well, this isn't true. And she's like, how do you know this isn't true? And I'm like, simple. And I'm like, I researched it.
Right.
What research do you have? Wikipedia. Wikipedia isn't a legitimate source. And I'm like, I was about to say her name. I don't want to say her name. I'm like, but I said her name. I'm like, listen, Wikipedia in this case is a more legitimate source than a screenshot of cricket. And I will tell you why. Because, and I actually quoted the information.
That was about to make me laugh. That was about to make me laugh right there.
Yeah. I quoted the information from Wikipedia and I said, and here is why in this case. Because there is a citation. The citation is State of South Carolina versus Dylan Stormroof. So this just isn't any citation. These are actually the government records.
Mm-hmm.
The court case is on file.
Right.
He is being charged with 9 counts of murder, and he is not going to receive bail for that. You know what I heard from her in response?
You can't trust the government?
Crickets.
Crickets.
Pun intended. Crickets.
Yeah.
Not a word. Not a, you know what? Not a peep. I think she felt some type of way because some of her followers came on and were like, Whew, thank God. In
Right.
response to the information that I had presented. Because it's
Okay.
like, wait a minute. This is simple. You're going to share this cricket screenshot before you do due diligence.
Mm-hmm.
This is why people don't know how to be wrong, because they don't do due diligence.
Right.
If you
And,
practice due diligence, then you absolutely have no problem being wrong.
right.
If that is your habit, if you are in the mind of doing or engaging in due diligence about a thing, then you don't have a problem being wrong. You see what I'm saying? But
Mm-hmm.
because you don't do your due diligence and you claim to do your due diligence, she's always online talking about people don't do research. But yet, every other week, Facebook Facebook will take one of her posts and say, you know how Facebook now will say the information is false?
Yeah. I
And
haven't
what
seen that happen. I haven't seen that happen to people. Like, I've seen, yeah, I haven't really seen that happen yet. I feel like I've seen maybe an article that someone else has posted and shown that it was false, but I've never seen that slapped on someone's post by Facebook. Oh, I lost you.
bruh, it happens to her every other week. And you know what she does?
Takes it
She
down and
comes
puts up another one.
No, she leaves it up. She comes on and updates it in the comments with
Mm-hmm.
something else that refutes Facebook saying it was false.
Okay.
Rather than just saying, you know what, this might have been misinformation, my bad.
Yeah.
Rather than just saying, my bad, I could have been wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're in the interest of informing people, then you have to be altruistic across the board. And now I'm going to read you something from Facebook, which you may find interesting.
Okay.
This is something a friend of mine shared the other day that I thought was particularly brilliant and certainly relevant if, you know, people are in the mind of being informed.
Sure.
It's very relevant. Let me go to his page. I should have copied and saved it to my phone so that I could have it forever. Where? Here we go. Let me view full size. So, top 6 red flags that a news story is unreliable, disreputable, embarrassing for you to share. You ready?
Yeah. Can I guess what they're gonna be, or you just want
You
to tell me?
sure. You can guess.
One of them's gonna be misspellings. I think. I definitely have people share stuff with me that's like has some horrible
I'm so
misspellings in it.
annoyed when people post these so-called factual memes,
Yeah.
but you're good with the fact that the words are misspelled.
Well, the thing about a meme is not even real like a meme is something concocted to like it's almost like a joke or like you
Well,
know
no, and in some cases, memes are meant to be provocative and sarcastic to literally transmit information.
right, but it's worse when it's presented as an actual news story and the shit is misspelled. When
Yes.
something is a meme, someone had to actually put that together, right? And like journalists don't make memes,
Well,
so
social media journalists do.
I didn't realize they were actually out here making memes.
Oh yeah, you've
Um,
never seen memes that supposedly give you statistics as to why black people are wrong about, you know, cops killing, black people or what have you, and it's spelled wrong.
well, but that's what I mean, though. These aren't journalists. These are assholes putting shit together. That's what I
Well,
mean. Like a meme to me is a lower. Like I don't look to memes for information.
but
Like
see,
it can
here's
make a
here's
it can make
here's
a
the catch
point.
to that though. Here's the catch to that though. the problem is many people, especially in this generation, get their news through a social media filter. It's the reason why I'm always rebelling against memes. I call it memology 101. And you don't even need a degree in political science no more. You just take a course in memes on Facebook. And the reason why I say that is because while you and I agree with what you just said, a lot of people validate memes.
Well, that's sad. I mean,
And that can't be ignored. That a lot of people share them, and they're sharing them. For some cases it's funny, in some cases it's a joke, but in some cases they're sharing them because this is an idea that somebody else gave them, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you're right," and
yeah,
then they share it. You know what I mean? And while so me and you have a perspective on it, we can't ignore that a lot of people actually give them credence.
yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry. Go on.
No, just the miss.
Misspelling isn't one.
It's not one.
No.
Okay, that's interesting. All right, we'll
Maybe
go. I'm
maybe
interested.
maybe
I'm
that would be
curious.
num maybe that would be number 7.
Okay.
So number
Old. How
one.
about old ass information? Like something from like 2 years ago,
Nope.
and you're trying to pass it off as something new. No.
Nope.
Okay.
Not the top 6.
Or something that is supposed to be from a satirical site and people don't even realize it's supposed to be satire.
Nope. These are all good though.
Okay.
Everything that you said so far is good, but it's not one of the top 6. Now, mind you, each top 6 is accompanied with a "your logic should tell you" type of, you know, like it's accompanied with a caption on what your logic should tell you about each individual point of each one of the top 6.
Okay. Maybe it's some janky ass site that no one's like heard of or something. Just like a completely like, you know,
Nope.
crazy sounding site.
Nope.
Okay, I'm
And
curious.
and also each one of the top 6 gives an example.
Okay.
So number one of the top 6 red flags that a news story is unreliable, disreputable, and embarrassing for you to share.
Wait, number
Num-
one is in the top out of the 6?
I'm about to tell you what number 1 is. I was just rereading the title.
No. But I'm saying, is number one this is the top out of all of them?
Well, it's not listed in 1 through 6.
Oh,
It
I
just
see. I
has
see.
6 in a row, and I'm just
Okay. Okay.
number 1.
Okay.
So number
Okay.
1 of the top 6 red flags that a news story is unreliable, disreputable, embarrassing for you to share.
Uh-huh.
Number 1, it explicitly states that it is telling the truth and or everyone else is lying to you. Example, we know the truth. What the media, government, or corporations are hiding from you. This
Right.
is
Right.
definitely true.
Okay.
Your logic should tell you if they have to preface it by swearing it's true, it's probably not.
Right.
Number 2,
Wait.
it
Let me
contain
do another. Let me do another guess.
okay.
Either in not that it's number 2, but one of the 6. Either it's only found on one site and cannot be reduplicated on another, or like it's only on YouTube or some shit like that.
Nope, but that's a good
Okay.
one too.
All
We
right.
need to expand this list.
I'm striking out. That's good
That's
though.
that's a
That's
good one
good
though.
because there's a lot. There's a lot of these.
So number 2 is it contains short, conclusory opinion statements. It's all hogwash. The media has it all wrong.
Yeah.
Your logic should tell you good journalists typically don't write like this.
Okay. Okay.
Number 3, it is organized as a list of questions or hypotheses. Examples, why wasn't this? Question mark. It doesn't add up that. It's really unlikely that X happened. And our logic should tell us this is literally the opposite of news, which is answers, not questions.
Okay.
Number 4, it puts the burden on you to answer the questions.
Okay.
If examples, if you can't answer these questions, or do you really know what happened? And then our logic should tell us, I thought you were supposed to be the journalist here.
Mhm.
Number 5, it asks you to prove a negative, which is often impossible. Examples, no one has proven that the government wasn't involved. They say it was X, but how do you know it wasn't Y?
Right.
Our logic, don't try this argument in court.
Sure. Yeah, that one really gets me because it'll be something like it'll be something like, let's say the guy who was just shot in Georgia, right?
How do you know he wasn't a criminal?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Yes, perfect, perfect, perfect. What a perfect point. What a perfect point, Flav. So
And they'll be
last,
like, I don't know. I don't know that he wasn't a criminal.
right,
I can't say that.
right. Lastly, it suggests an insidious plot by someone, in parentheses, the media, elites, corporation, or the government, but doesn't say exactly what the plot is or provide any evidence for it. Examples, no one knows how deep this goes. There's no telling who's behind all of this. And our logic is, get this, cool story, bro.
Right.
No one knows how deep this goes. So we have a suggestion of an insidious plot by, in quotations, someone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's always them, right? Or they, but doesn't say exactly what the plot is or provide any evidence for it or say who the someone is.
Right. Someone is somehow benefiting off of this. That's all
Right.
I know.
It asks you to prove a negative, which is often impossible. That's a big one.
Yeah.
It puts the burden on you. This is what I was talking about before, and I was actually referencing this. The burden on you to answer the questions because it's an organized list of questions or hypotheses. This isn't journalism. This isn't you giving me information. Although you want me to think you're giving me information.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not how it works, right?
Yeah. This is good. I want to bring this to some people that I know in a way that they don't feel attacked. I want to just share, if this is like an article form or something, I want to
I'm
share this with them.
I'm gonna send it to you right now.
Okay. Because I want to share it in a way that hopefully it doesn't make anyone feel attacked, like this is what right wingers are doing or blah, blah, blah. Hopefully it's just in general, this is information that needs to be vetted more, or, there's a problem with this information. And I wonder if people would use that and actually start thinking, huh, okay, yeah, this stuff that I'm looking at is all questions and all proving negatives.
I just sent it to you in Messenger.
Okay, cool.
That way,
Thanks.
you now have it. I saved it myself so that I can own it.
Okay.
And this is something that's organic, right? We can add to this because you made some great points.
Yeah.
You made some great points. So this is something, we can actually make this bigger.
The one thing I notice about, if you, oh, never mind. I saved the photo. Okay. I was going to say, sometimes when I try to forward something in Messenger, it can only be forwarded to someone else in Messenger, but I've saved the photo.
Yeah, I was gonna say just save it to
Yep.
your own phone's gallery.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's interesting because this is and there's another one, and I haven't seen it in years, but it's a list of logical fallacies or false arguments.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like it's just, and there a lot of them are Latinized. You know what I mean? Like there are Latin terms for them, but
Right.
they're known logical fallacies or false arguments that people employ all the time. Not just logical fallacies, but false arguments, false premises to argue about, i.e., like whataboutism.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Which is just a false premise to argue on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You know, that's just, you know, as an example. You know what I mean? Like it's a or appeal to authority,
Hey,
right? The
let's go
appeal to
back.
authority. Mhm.
Let's go back to it's organized as a list of questions or hypotheses. I feel
Mhm.
like this one could have been worded a little bit better.
Okay.
This is literally the opposite of news, which is answers, not questions. Well, only the first one's a question, and the others, I don't. Well,
Well, a hypothesis is on some level a question, right?
I guess. I mean, it doesn't add up that that's supposed to be a hypothesis. It's really unlikely that X happened.
Go on.
No, I'm just looking at those last two. They're just not. They're not as strong as the first one. The first one's a question, and then the second two just don't seem to be as bad.
It doesn't add up that it's really unlikely that. So if I'm presenting you information
Mm-hmm.
and my presentation is that I don't believe COVID-19 is as serious as they're telling me,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't make a statement as to why, I say it doesn't add up that all of these people are being categorized as COVID cases, even if they have the flu. And it
Okay.
doesn't add up that they're putting up 5G towers at the same time as this virus spreading. Like you're not really making statements, right? But your opening argument was, or your hypothesis is, COVID-19 isn't as serious as they're saying.
I see. I see.
You're not saying, well, this is why it isn't serious.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You're not really giving me any statements of, even if they're not fact, right? You're not
Right.
stating your position. You're asking me to adopt, and these are my words now, and what I would add to this, you're asking me to adopt your imaginary argument because you haven't stated it yet. You haven't
Right.
supported it yet. So ultimately, by recruiting me, I may make your argument for you because of the questions you've asked.
Sure.
There's also another, they say it's a bad way to argue. It's called appeal to authority or scholarship,
Okay.
which is, I have a friend who does it all the time. We'll be debating something and she'll say, well, Ish, do you have a scholarly source that's been vetted? And I'll be like, well, that's a logical and fair question. It's a bad argument. No, it's
Why
not a
is that?
bad argument. Well, because it deflects, right? If you're
Okay.
standing on a premise, argue your premise.
Okay.
Don't direct me to the scientists that neither one of us can really understand, right? Hold
Okay.
on. I'll give you better words than my own.
Okay.
Because
I was going to say, I mean, I'll deflect to the CDC all the time and be like, these are the guys, this is their job. Like,
no, that's fine. That's fine. But you can't tell me that you understand neurosurgery, because in a debate between me and you on neurosurgery, now if we're having an educated debate,
mm-hmm.
then you're going to argue your position and show me your sources. You're not going to direct me to your sources. You're not going to say, well, I don't have to argue this position, go read him. You're going to argue the position and then let me know your sources. Like if we were in a real debate, right? You're actually going to make the argument. And then you're just going to use your sources as references.
Sure.
But you're not going to say, I'm not going to make the argument. Go read it from him. And I'll give you better words than mine.
Okay.
It's literally called the appeal to authority fallacy. That's what it's called. An argument from authority. Argument ab actoritate. Also called an appeal to authority, or argumentum and vericundium, is a form of defeasible argument in which the opponent of an authority on a topic is used as evidence to support an argument. It is well known as a fallacy, though some consider that it is used in a cogent form when all sides of discussion agree on the reliability of the authority in the given context. Other authors consider it a fallacy to cite an authority on a discussed topic as a primary means of supporting an argument. And here's the reason why. The argument from authority is based on the idea that a perceived authority must know better and that the person should conform to their opinion. This has its roots in psychological cognitive biases, such as the Ash effect. In repeated and modified instances of the Ash conformity experiments, it was found that high-status individuals create a stronger likelihood of a subject agreeing with an obviously false conclusion, despite the subject normally being able to clearly see that the answer was incorrect. Further, humans have been shown to feel strong emotional pressure to conform to authorities in majority positions. A repeat of the experiments by another group of researchers found that participants reported considerable distress under the group pressure. I'm going to get to the point.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I skipped. So it says if all parties agree on the reliability of an authority in the given context, it forms a valid inductive argument. So this is what I was looking for. I'm sorry. So appeal to authority, description, insisting that a claim is true simply because a valid authority or expert on the issue said it was true, without any other supporting evidence offered. Here's an explanation. Example number 1, and it gives examples. Logical form. According to person 1, who is an expert on the issue of why is true, therefore why is true. This is the logical form. Example number 1. Richard Dawkins, an evolutionary biologist and perhaps the foremost expert in the field, says that evolution is true, therefore it's true. Explanation of why it's a logical fallacy. Richard Dawkins certainly knows about evolution, and he can confidently tell us that it is true, but that doesn't make it true. What makes it true is the preponderance of evidence for the theory. Example number 2. How do I know the adult film industry is the third largest industry in the United States? Derek Schlongmeister, the adult film star of over 50 years, said it was. That's how I know. Explanation. Schlongmeister may be an industry expert as well as have a huge talent, but a claim such as the one made will require supporting evidence. For the record, the adult film industry may be large, but on a scale from 0 to 12 inches, it's only about a fraction of an inch. Exception. Be careful not to confuse deferring to an authority on the issue which the appeal to authority with the appeal to authority fallacy. So there are differences. Remember, a fallacy is an error in reasoning. Dismissing the counsel of legitimate experts and authorities turns good skepticism into denialism. The appeal to authority is a fallacy in argumentation, but deferring to authority is a reliable heuristic that we all use virtually every day on issues of relatively little importance. There is always a chance that any authority can be wrong. That's why the critical thinker accepts facts provisionally. It is not at all unreasonable or an error in reasoning to accept information as provisionally true by credible authorities. Of course, the reasonableness is moderated by the claim being made, i.e., how extraordinary, how important, and the authority, how credible, how relevant to the claim. The appeal to authority is more about claims that require evidence than about facts. For example, if your tour guide told you that Vatican City was founded February 11, 1929, and you accept that information as true, you are not committing a fallacy because it is not in the context of argumentation, nor are you being unreasonable.
Well, what if you referred to your tour guide in an argument?
Say again?
What if you referred to the tour guide in an argument?
And you say that the tour guide said that it was founded, thus it is true?
Yeah.
Well, if it wasn't an arguendo, right, then you're deferring to an authority. But if it's an arguendo, it's not true because the tour guide said it. There still has to be a preponderance of evidence.
Okay.
Right? Like there has to be a preponderance of evidence that supports that truth, not just the tour guide who is an authority said it. It's not true. You see what I'm saying? It's not true because the tour guide said it. It's true because there's a preponderance of evidence that supports its truth.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if in arguendo, you say, well, my tour guide told me, well, then this is an appeal to authority fallacy. If it's not an arguendo, right, then it's a deference to authority, which is not a fallacy, and it's not unreasonable for you to conclude that it's true.
Wait, what is what's a deference to authority?
Because if we're not operating an arguendo, right, and you defer to an authority on a thing, which is okay because a lot of people do. If me and you both agree that Dwayne is an authority on Star Trek because he created the universe with Gene Roddenberry, right?
Okay.
And we both agree on this, then we can defer for purposes of our conversation to that authority. If we're not operating in arguendo, meaning we're not arguing.
Okay.
Right? Then
but the moment we begin arguing,
we
can't use Dwayne as a authority.
We can if we both agree, even in arguendo, we can. However, Dwayne isn't the authority without the preponderance of evidence. And if we can't argue that evidence, if it causes me to have to go research Dwayne's, let's take it back to the debate, right?
Okay.
If I'm debating you on Star Trek, I'm going to go get Dwayne's information, and then within the course of that debate, when I present the information, I'm going to cite it, right? I'm not just going to say, see Dwayne Davison.
I see.
I'm going to cite it because I'm citing the source.
Right. So that if need be, I could go to the source.
If need be, you can go to the source, but I'm giving you the information and not causing you to go to the authority.
Right.
Because then that's a fallacy. Because the authority needs a preponderance of evidence. Even if they're authority, they're just not the authority because they said it. They're the authority because they gathered a preponderance of evidence.
Okay.
So if me and you are arguing on Facebook and you'd be like, well, Dr. Such and Such said, what are you saying? How do I know that's true? Well, they've been vetted. Okay. What was vetted? Give me the evidence. Right? I'm not going to make your argument for you.
Right.
See what I'm saying? It's your argument. Make it. Oh, you should go research. Why? You're making the argument. Support it. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's your argument. The onus is on you to prove your position. You're the one who made the argument. So the onus is then on you to support your argument, not to direct me to someone who supports your argument.
Right.
Because then I'm making your argument for you. You don't have to do any work. This is your argument.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And people do that.
People do it all the time, yeah.
Yeah, you appeal to an authority that means you don't have to argue. Then why are you making the statement? Because you read such and such? Cite what you read. It's called a citation. Cite it. Then you don't have to direct me to the authority. I'm going to go to the authority. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
See if you cited it in context. See if you da-da-da-da-da. But other than that, if you direct me to your authority, such and such said this and he's vetted. Oh, I got to go read such and such because you can't make your argument. I've had smart people say that. Ish, the onus is on you. Oh, it is on me. You're right. My friend Matt said it to me some years ago. He's like, the burden of proof is on you. Because I made the initial argument. And he disagreed. And I'm like, well, you can't prove that. And he said to me, well, the burden of proof is on you.
Right.
And he was right. He was absolutely right. The burden of proof was on me. See what I'm saying? So now I could be like, well, if you read this, and me and you, if we're talking, you're going to let me get away with it. The average person is. The average person doesn't even understand logical fallacies, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
They automatically assume that if this and then this, then it must be this. When
Right.
A, B doesn't always lead to, you know what I'm saying? It's
Sure.
not always A, B, C.
Right.
It sounds logical, right? I was operating under a logical fallacy that you corrected me on when we were talking about persons of color versus colored person.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I was questioning and I was making a logical fallacy. It was literally a logical fallacy that I concluded that if person of color is okay, why isn't colored person okay? Because in my head, logically, my logic was if this, then this.
Right.
That was a logical fallacy.
Sure.
That was a perfect example that we had in conversation where just from discussion, you enlightened me and I stood corrected and learned and realized like, oh, I'm operating and using a logical fallacy.
Sure.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And, a lot of times it's just that simple. I didn't see it until we discussed it. Till we actually discussed it and played it out. And you said specific things that made me be like, oh. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Huh. If I were to paint this picture, well, could you imagine a white person? The average white person is probably going to adopt that logical fallacy.
Right.
Person of color equates to colored person. No. But I'm a black person. And I adopted it. Well, I didn't adopt it. I questioned why it wasn't for the purposes of coming to a specific conclusion. But certainly it was motivated on the fact that if I didn't encounter anything in conversation that changed my way of thinking, then I would have been operating or using a logical fallacy. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I certainly approached it. I asked you a question and we discussed it. We had a discussion about it, which didn't lead to me. It led to the complete opposite, which I'm glad. very thankful of that discussion. But imagine, you know, the average white person would probably come to the conclusion that I was going to come to when I'm black. Because that's how logical fallacies work, right? They're in your head logical. You take two logical statements that are associated with each other almost intimately, and then you come up with a conclusion that is illogical. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there's that. We're gonna build this list though. Not now, but we're gonna have to build this, add more to this list.
Yeah, there's definitely twice as much. There's definitely
Yeah,
twice as much.
yeah. And I think there's I think there is a redundancy as well.
Yeah, exactly. The part where it's like about the questions and then it makes you answer the questions, like that's pretty redundant.
Yeah. I think yeah. That was one thing that immediately stood out to me. But I think it's a good start, right?
Hmm.
It's definitely a poor man's way to kind of filter out the BS.
Yeah.
Definitely think it's a good start. I think some of the your logic should tell you could be refined.
Hmm.
Like I think Cool Story Bro is just kind of, while yes, it's right to the point. I think it
Right.
I think it takes away from what could be a serious piece of work.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it just kind of takes away from it. Like I think they should have kept that one tone.
Right.
You know, shifting into humor. You know, not even really humor, kind of like sarcasm. I
Right.
think takes away from the strength of what it could be. Like it could be stronger. Maybe we should just revise it and rewrite it.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely do
And
that.
you know, I have to remember who posted it originally because I don't want to. I want to give credit where credit is due and be like, you know, revised from such and such. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
You know, our own version, but maybe we should certainly revise and rewrite it because I like it as a basis. I definitely like it as a basis. Like there are certain things you should cross-reference what people put out as information, and I do it, but I know what I'm doing. Meaning, hold on a second. Meaning, I don't mind being provocative, but I'm not being provocative as a way to present information. You know, when I'm being provocative or I start something with questions or what have you, it's because I'm asking a question, be it sarcastically, and that's okay. I'm not I'm not saying this as this is a fact. I'm presenting you a piece of information that's factual. I'm asking a question, and I asked it in this way, and oh well. But I know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? I'm not coming out saying, you know what, COVID-19 is fake.
Right.
On some level, like I posted a post a couple weeks ago. It said, Kim Jong Un, aliens, and murder hornets. Oh my! I'm making a joke. Now, there's something that I wanted to say, and this is way off the topic that we've been on.
Okay.
Ahmad Arbery.
Okay.
You know, I had a thought cross my mind the other day, and I was going to make a post. I was going to post a status update, and I thought better of it. I was gonna say still not distracted.
Okay.
And I just thought better of it. But that's how I feel. Am I wrong?
Or distracted from what?
The goal of 2020,
What is the goal of 2020?
new president.
Well, so here's the thing. I mean, these problems have existed across many presidents, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm personally sick of not seeing resolutions to these old problems. So I don't want to feel like I'm dismissing one problem in favor of another, right? So I mean, I guess it's all in how you come off and like and what you mean, but to me it's not either or it's not like something like that would distract me from another goal. It's something that we should have addressed a long time ago, and I want to see major steps taken. I actually had a deep discussion with folks at different levels of my organization about this, and like, I've been personally saying that we need to adopt a UK like model where cops are not using weapons. Even though these folks weren't technically cops, I still feel like it falls in the same, in the same basket of what folks are getting away with and whatever they viewed themselves as some type of authority figures one way or another. And, I was saying that I believe that lethal weapons should not be an option and that they should only be taken out of lockers should the need arrive. Someone has body armor and users just won't fix it, so they have to go grab the actual weapons and whatnot. And I spoke to people within the movement who felt like it's not just about the use of lethal weapons, but it's about a system where cops are trained to shoot to kill, and especially where they're trained to see us as the enemy and that kind of thing. And the conclusion that I came to, I'm not articulating it the way it was articulated to me. I felt at some point, I felt like I was told that we need a grander plan that looks at our past and looks at how we gained, you know, certain amounts of progress and like that takes that into account, and that's like a smart plan to move forward. And my thought was I don't want to sit around and wait till we've perfected some master plan to be seen as humans or to be treated as such. I want to start implementing uh, destruction control as soon as possible, which would include taking away weapons where they can shoot us in the back as we run away, or where they can shoot us from far away or be scared and take away our lives. That the only thing they could really do is incapacitate us until we wake back up again alive in custody, for the system to actually see us through rather than judge, jury, and executioner deal with us in the field. But that was my take. But I don't know. I don't see these things as distractions. I see them as symptoms of things that we haven't ever fully dealt with and problems that aren't going to solve themselves.
Okay. So with all that having been said, here's my take. And I'm going to defer you to what kind of got things going before we went off out, as we always do, on a bunch of different good tangents. Conspiracy theories.
Mhm.
So if and I'm gonna draw from The Art of War. I am not deferring you to it, but I'm gonna draw from The Art of War. So if we're and I want to say, on some level, brass and tacks, everything that takes your attention off of a certain goal, no matter how beneficial it is to you, is a distraction, right? If we're talking conspiracy theories, which I don't think there's a conspiracy to this, what I'm just using this as an example. If we're talking conspiracy theories, right, as it regards distractions, then the goal would be to find that thing, anything, even if it is to your benefit, to take you away from what the goal is, to divert your attention, be it a murder hornet, be it, you know, the FBI releasing 13 million classified documents regarding UFOs, be it Kim Jong Un died, now he's alive, be it we're finally going to release a video that should have been released months ago, showing the murder of a black man. While I'm not making an argument against you because I agree with you, what I'm saying is that even in agreeing, I still think that the mechanisms or the means to distract are whatever they may be, even those things that may serve to benefit us.
Okay.
And that doesn't mean we shouldn't acknowledge it, because you said some really poignant things. That doesn't mean we shouldn't acknowledge it. We shouldn't take away the means to our destruction. We shouldn't look at those things. What I'm saying is that doesn't make those things any less a tactic of distraction. And I'm not saying it is a tactic or a means to distract. I'm saying it just doesn't make it less of a means of distraction just because it is relevant and important to us. That's all I'm saying. If we're keeping in with the conspiracy theme. If we're keeping in with that theme, then whatever works, right? If there is a conspiracy to distract, then whatever works. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
That's all I'm just saying, just matter of factly. And I felt compelled to just be like, still not distracted. And that doesn't mean I want to not be concerned about exactly what you described. It doesn't mean that I'm not concerned about exactly what you described. I've been concerned about it every day for years. You understand what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
I still find myself questioning, like, is this potentially something that is meant to divert my attention and going to be effective because it is important? You know, to each his own, right? Like, you have different flavors so that you can entice all of the people to partake in the meal.
Right.
We're going to have orange soda for the people who like orange soda. We'll have grape for the people who like grape. Oh, these guys aren't drinking the Kool-Aid. Oh, it's because they don't drink red or purple. They drink lime. So let's get some lime Kool-Aid in there. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's all. That's all I wanted to, again, I'm being conspiratorial because that was the theme. You know what I
Sure.
mean? That was what we started on. So, for me, I also understand that concessions matter. I was telling somebody recently, I'm like, if I were Donald Trump, I would have I would have jumped right out in front on this. And I'd have told my constituency in the dark, like, yo, these dudes are gonna take one for the team. These dudes who killed Ahmaud Arbery are gonna take what y'all gotta take. Y'all taking one for the team. If I were Trump, I'd have been way ahead on it. Been on TV talking about travesty, justice needs to be served, all kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that stuff is interesting. I mean, you know, that stuff is never really treated like a federal issue, so they don't really touch it. But some folks think it should be a federal issue.
I think it should be a federal issue. Who polices the police?
Yeah, unless it's like an internal affairs or something, or you know.
Yeah, there's professional standards and internal affairs for sure, but I think that in a lot of cases, and I can't be sure. This is just Ishmael, me and you shooting the breeze. I think in a lot of cases, like internal affairs is moot. In many cases, I mean, how
Yeah,
many how
no,
many how many cops just get off?
it's crazy. They don't. It's not really taken it serious.
Right, because who polices the police? Who's really policing them? Maybe it should be a federal thing.
Maybe.
You know what I mean? Like, who's really policing them?
Yeah.
You know, we find out that this particular police department there's a chain of egregious offenses being committed by the police in this specific police department. One of them, as somebody informed me of today, just days before Ahmaud Arbery's killing. So, there's that.
Yeah.
There's that. I know somebody said something pretty relevant on social media earlier today. It was actually pretty clever. It was a meme, but it was clever. And it was like, black person gets shot by cops. Or no, it was like Trayvon Martin gets killed. We wear hoodies. Such and such gets shot. We wear T-shirts that say I'm unarmed. Such and such gets shot. We march. Ahmaud Arbery gets killed. We jog. And they're like, the person was like, black people are the only group of people who commercialize and market their own destruction. And I thought that was just an interesting observation.
And what's that?
Oh, you didn't hear what I just said?
No, no.
They posted a meme today, and it was like, Trayvon Martin gets killed. We all go buy hoodies. Such and such gets shot. We make T-shirts that say I'm unarmed. Such and such gets shot. We march. Such an Ahmaud Arbery gets killed. We jog. And then they end capped it with, black people are the only people who commercialize and market their own destruction. I thought that was an interesting observation.
Yeah.
Somebody gets killed and we go jogging for Ahmaud Arbery. What does that do? Those are some of the things that bother me about our community, and I'm cynical about it. Like, what do you mean you're gonna march? Some kid got shot, a black kid got shot, and I'm not talking about Ahmaud Arbery. Insert any black name. And forgive me if I'm wrong, but this is how I feel. Black kid gets shot in Tennessee, and it's a call for people to march and protest and wear signs. You don't march down your own street.
When?
Say again?
You don't march down your own street when what?
When, and I don't want to exercise or engage in whataboutism. And I don't want to compare two things that have nothing to do with each other.
Okay.
But within our own culture, there are issues that we have. I'm not saying that what happens in our culture is equivalent to what white people do to our culture. What I'm saying is, how come, and I'm not saying you shouldn't march. I don't know what marching does, personally. I personally don't understand the impact of marching. That having been said, I would like to march to the corner of the street and be like, yo, I need these drug dealers up off the corner. And not because I'm marching against black on black crime, because I feel like I'm marching in my own block for the same reasons. See, I don't believe that, I believe in racism. I believe in systemic racism. But I also believe that economics trumps it.
Okay.
Meaning, I believe that the green ultimately trumps systemic racism. It's one of the reasons why we don't have economic equality. Because if in our own communities we fought white people on the same level as we're willing to march for white people killing black people, this is where I'm making equivalency. And it may be a logical fallacy, it may be a false equivalency, but this is where I'm making equivalency. I don't equate black on black anything to what white people do to black people. But I understand that there are conditions in our communities that exist because of what white people are doing to us. It's a slow murder. We don't get the same type of public servitude, but we don't demand it. You understand what I'm saying? We don't empower each other economically in order to put ourselves in a position to demand the same type of public servitude and the same type of treatment as anywhere else. We just don't do it. And there are systemic things at play by people who don't look like us that contribute to that. But we're not marching against that. The slow murder of our communities by people who do not look like us. It's still murder. It may be someone that looks like me who's pulling the trigger, but they're not the person who put the gun there. They're not the person who put the conditions there by which somebody who looks like me is shooting someone like me.
So you're saying that's what we're not marching against is the systemic problems.
Yes. That causes the drug dealer to be on the corner. I remember when Dwayne opened up his business, I almost got robbed standing outside of his restaurant. Dwayne will tell you. We'll talk about it Sunday. He'll tell you.
Where was this?
On Bailey.
On Bailey, East Side.
Yeah. I gotten off work. I pull up at Dwayne's restaurant in my Charger. And, I was working at the hospital, so I had to dress a certain way. I was dressed. Mm-hmm. And had on a nice watch, the whole nine. I just gotten off work. And this kid rides up to me on a bike. And I'm leaning up against Dwayne's restaurant, smoking a cigarette. And he rides up. And I'm from the hood. I know what this is. I know what time it is. Okay. He rides up, hugging the building. And he's leaning down real low, looking at my watch. And he's like, can you do me a favor? On a bike. And I just look at him. And he's like, my people is supposed to be coming up the block. And I'm on the corner of Bailey and Berkshire. And he's
Mhm.
like, they're supposed to be coming up the block, up Berkshire. He was like, could you just, could you look for me and tell me if they're coming? Little shorty, like 16.
Mhm.
And I'm on my head like, you think I'm stupid? And I look at dude, I'm like, I don't know you. I don't know your people. Look for your own people. And I turn around and walk into Dwayne's restaurant. I'm like, yo, I think little dude is plotting to rob me. Dwayne was like, for real? Sure enough, 20 dudes come up the block. And like, as I'm in the restaurant sitting down talking to Dwayne and his mom, 3 of them, one at a time, just kind of like walks in, looks around, looks at me, walks out. A couple minutes later, another one comes in. A couple minutes later, another one. Same thing.
Mhm.
Then they finally leave because they see that I'm actually there at the restaurant with Dwayne and I'm not leaving anytime soon. So they finally just leave. But the whole point was y'all came, y'all thought y'all was gonna rob me.
Yeah.
So to take it a step further though, this is how bad it was. I'm just only telling you this story to tell you how bad it was at Dwayne's restaurant. You know, these dudes would just congregate on the corner. He had a business. They would just congregate right there. They never did before until Dwayne opened that business.
Okay.
So Dwayne had to get with 4 other black business owners on Bailey, form a group, and call the mayor and demand public servitude.
What do you mean by public servitude?
Police, he had to call the mayor. They had to call the mayor together as a group of black business owners, tell them as much, to get the police to stop people from loitering and being gangsters in front of their establishments.
I see. I see. I see.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Otherwise, they just weren't going to get that. But
Right.
had he had his restaurant in Amherst, he would have never had to call the police because nobody would have been congregated around his restaurant,
Right.
stopping the flow of his business, intimidating people, trying to sell people drugs as they're going in to get Jamaican food.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They had to get together. Couldn't just be Dwayne because he had been calling. He had to get together and form a organization with the other black business owners on Bailey and then call. And that's when they had the leverage. Think about it. We own businesses. We make money. Now we have the leverage to get what we deserve, what we should automatically be receiving. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't blame these kids, right? They didn't put the systemic tools in place that caused them to be in that situation. So I blame the slow murder of our communities by people who don't look like us. However, that doesn't mean I don't hold us accountable. Well, why aren't we marching against them? Why aren't we marching in our communities? Which means we have to do things in our communities. It sucks, but we always got to work harder. So we have to do things in our communities in order to make you give us what we deserve. Right?
Right.
We got to
Yeah.
put money in the people in our community's pockets. We got to make sure that the people in our community aren't harassed and terrorized by people that look like us. You see what I'm saying? So that we create a culture and we, think about it. We have social inequality in America, but we don't have to. We don't have to wait for them to give us social equality. We're the highest spenders of money
Right.
outside of our own culture.
Right.
See what I'm saying? We can just spend money with ourselves and then police ourselves. Meaning, I can't let y'all be up on this corner. My man got a business here. And
Yeah.
such has a business here. And such has a business here. And we're gonna get together as a business, right? This is something I've been thinking about seriously. Like, why wouldn't businesses get together, pool their resources, and give back to the community in a way that matters? It takes nothing for a bunch of businesses in the community to get together, rent a building, hire some instructors, and start teaching people how to do construction work from the community.
Yeah.
And then go into the community and remodel people's houses. And start taking contracts and building up your own community. Give these people in the community a trade and a skill set. You put it right in the community. Come here 4 days a week. We're going to teach you how to do this. Put up drywall, build frames. You understand what I'm saying? We're going to teach you how to do it. And then after we teach you how to do it, we're going to hire you and put you on crews. And then we're going to start taking contracts. You see what I'm saying? Like, we're just going to teach you how to do it. Don't worry about, it's going to be affordable. Like, these are things that we can do in our own community. And then we can use the resources to build up our own communities and empower people at the same time and make people in the community feel good about themselves because, my house was the one that was randomly picked on the free remodel list. And they're just going to come in and, you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather buy all of the houses in the hood that are owned by people who don't live in the hood, fix them up, and sell them back to people who do live in the hood. Let me buy your house for you from the person who owns it, and you just rent to own it for me at a better rate so that you can actually have an opportunity to own the house you live in. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because then it's more valuable to you and you have more pride. You own it. I don't blame our people, but I hold our people accountable.
Sure.
I don't blame our people at all. I certainly hold our people accountable, though. Like, come on. I'm not that dude. I'm not waiting for you to give me economic equality. Not when I know that I can have it without you. I don't need you to give it to me. You owe it to me, but I don't need you to give it to me. I can have it without you. We as a people we don't got to go to the mall to buy Jordans. We don't have to. Put your money together and open up the store that you want the Jordans. Open up the store in your hood. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Open it up there, and support it. I don't agree with running out to buy, but if that's what you want to do, open it up in your neighborhood, in your community. Make your community better. Who cares? First of all, it starts with spending your money with your own, and then creating an environment where you're bringing in money from outside of the community. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Cultivate your own community economically and then bring in money from outside of the community. That's the goal. At least that's how I see it. And it's not as simple as I'm saying it, but man, who's doing it? We all know this. I'm not saying anything new. We all know we're the highest spenders of money. We all know that we are at this point, the most profitable culture in the country. Hence the term culture vulture, right?
Mm-hmm.
That term wouldn't even exist if Black Americans weren't capitalized off of.
Right.
We're not even talking about culture vultures. If Black people weren't capitalizing off of Black people. That's just how I look at it. listen, we could table this till tomorrow though, because it sounds like you're tired.
Yeah, I'm starting to get a little tired. Um,
Okay.
yeah, let's table until tomorrow. I'm not working until I'm I think I have a whatever I said earlier. I have like a 12 to 1 and then a 5:30 to 8:30 and that's it.
That's Friday though, right?
Oh, right. Tomorrow. Tomorrow is Oh, tomorrow the only thing I have is like a 8:30 thing.
Okay. All right. So we'll table it. We'll talk.
Okay.
Hold on. Hold on yet. Don't go anywhere yet. All right.
Okay.
I don't know how to get out of here. Oh, I
Oh,
see. Says
yep.
leave. All right, man.
Yep.
I will holler.
Okay. All right, peace.